It is wheel bearing times again. Last week we did the front wheel bearings. This week we're doing the rear wheel bearings on this ML500 W163. Let's jump right in. First thing we're going to do, obviously, we're going to jack up the car and remove the rear wheels. What I did this time is I also jacked up the front of the car. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to rotate the tire as well. The wheels and tires are removed, and now it's time to remove this caliper. Now, mind you, unlike the front unlike the front wheels and tires and brake assemblies, the rear one has the emergency brake is in the rotor. Although it may look like a rotor, on the inside is actually a drum. This will be your brake line right here. This is your sensor to when the brake wears out. This is right here is your wheel speed sensor slash ABS. Where is it? ABS right here, and this down here, guys, is your cable. You know that pedal you step down on the left side for the emergency brake? This is it right here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove these two bolts right here. I believe they're 21mm bolts. I verified that. We'll remove the caliper. We'll disconnect this bracket right here that holds the wire harness for the wheel speed sensor and brake wear sensor and whatnot. We'll move that aside and hang it with a coat hanger, and then we'll proceed to remove the rotor with the size 5 Allen key right here. Okay, the rear rotor is off. We removed the caliper and we fastened it to the upper A-arm of the rear suspension, and we found out that, I don't know if you can see it, but where are you? Let me see if I can find you. See it? The rear upper ball joint is the boot is leaking grease, so this will have to be replaced at some point in the near future, so look for a video to do that. And now we have to take the park brake assembly off so that we could get it, so that we can remove this park brake cable out of the way. As always, take lots of pictures so that when the time comes to put this thing back together, you know how this thing goes back together. So park brake assembly off. We're going to remove this 10mm bolt right here that holds the harness for the wheel speed sensor, and this bolt right here too. We're going to remove this as well. I think it's in the I forget what the size was. Let me see. I think I have it right here. It's an E10. I believe it's an E10. Yeah, it's an E10 socket to remove the wheel speed sensor from the wheel hub. Okay, park brake and the harness. Okay, the park brake assembly is removed. These are all the pieces that you should get out of it. Right here, the aft spring, the forward spring, and this is the arm for that connects to the cable right here. And again, take lots of pictures, and this is what you should be finding when you remove the park brake assembly. Okay, we got the brake cable, the park brake cable removed. Just so you know, because it has plastic locking clips that goes into this hole right here, and you attempt to pull it out, it's gonna break. So chances are, down the road, not too far from now, we're going to have to replace this park brake cable as well because of this plastic insert. What a shame. Okay, well, let's not be the worry for now. So we got all the cable disconnected, the caliper disconnected. We got the harness disconnected. It's all back here and out of the way. Okay, and now we proceed on to the final phase. 36mm, we're going to take this out, remove this bolt here, upper and lower ball joints, and the hub should be coming out. Well, guys, the hub is out. It was a struggle. I'm not gonna lie. It was a struggle. This baby did not want to come out. So we have 19mm right here for the upper ball joint, 21mm on the bottom. This one here that goes here. And this ball joint will need to be replaced at some point in the near future. 22mm for the control arm, and this, look at this thing. The rubber boot was so brittle, as soon as I touched it, it cracked. What a shame. I'm gonna have to replace this. Damn it. And this broke as well in the attempt of doing the rear wheel bearings. So don't just count on doing rear wheel bearings when the time comes to do the rear wheel bearings. You might want to count on doing the rear ball joint as well, possibly this arm too, if this rubber boot breaks on you, and the brake cable as well, unless you decide, unless it had doing your job of the rear wheel bearings, you break you do more damage than I just did. Okay, we're gonna go to Paco's shop. We're gonna press this out. Also, I had the hardest time to remove this bottom ball joint. I don't know if you can see it. This thing was stripping on me as I was, it started rotating on me, and so with the 21mm wrench, this baby kept spinning on me. So I put the socket in, the T45 socket, but it was starting to jump and skip on me. And if you're by yourself and you're struggling, the solution is a big C-clamp. You just clamp it on top of the breaker bar or ratchet, and in the bottom of the ball joint, and start turning with the wrench to take the knot out. Put some lubricant. I use some, just use a lubricant. Doesn't matter what I used. Just spray some oil in there, work it, in it so that the oil goes in there. That will help you remove the ball joint. Remove the nut of the ball joint. So again, the C-clamp, you just clamp it on top and the bottom. Otherwise, if you're by yourself and that thing is rusted on there, you're gonna have a hard time. All right, let's go to Paco's shop and let's go press out the old bearing and put the new bearing in, and we'll continue our quest here. We are back at the Velas Automotive shop, and ironically, just like last time, it is raining again. This time we are pressing out the rear wheel bearings, and here it is. The press is here, and we're about to make this happen.
The little trick.
So we pressed out the inner hub, and once again, the inner part of the bearing popped out. As we mentioned, you will be able to see this in the last video we made about the front wheel bearings, and it's similar to the rear wheel bearings. They're the same size, although the setup is slightly different. So here we are once again. Paco is going to split the inner bearing from the axle of the inner hub. So this is the technique right here. All we're doing is we're nudging, we're separating the inner part of the bearing. Here it is. You see it? It move. Here it is. You see it? Now once that's done and it's moving, now it's just a matter of slightly going around and start moving the.
Just working it out.
Nice and easy.
Trick is not to do it all in one shot. Flat set.
Now you're just going to hammer it slowly all the way around. So guys, you're going to run into these kind of problems, so this is the way to do it. So he'll be going around this axle of the inner hub slowly until that the inner part of the bearing comes free. In the meantime, I'll work on removing the retaining clip here so that we're getting ready to press the bearing out of the hub. We're just about ready to move the inner bearing out. He's been slowly working it, and we got the circlip out with needle nose, or you could use the actual tool for it, but that needle nose will work as well. We are almost there. Now we did remove the shield that goes behind the rotor so that we can properly, what we did is we made ourselves room to properly get the job done right. And the size for that, the socket you will need for it is, let me see, I can't quite tell here, stand by. It's an E8. E8 will take the shielding off the rear wheel hub to get these nuts over here that look like little stars. Just about done with the removing the inner bearing from the inner hub. Okay, we get the inner part of the bearing out. Here it is right here. As we mentioned, slowly but surely, so spin it around, hammer it out, nice and easy, and it'll eventually come off. Circlip is removed, and we're now gonna press the bearing out. And we did break friction, and then now the bearing is starting to move outwards slowly, as you can tell. Here we go. It's about to pop out. Here it is. It's coming. She is out. All right, so we have the old bearing pressed out. We're gonna use it as a means to help pressing in the new bearing. Be sure to clean the inside part of the hub with a towel. Put some oil on it, not only on the outside of the bearing, but on the inside of the hub as well. What that'll do, it'll lower the coefficient of drag and help or aid in the pressing in of the new bearing. We're about to get this going. Stand by, we'll be right back. All right, we're pressing in the new bearing using the old one. Like I said, we put some oil and it's just going in like butter. Now it's going to come to a point where it's going to come to a stop. That's when the bearing is seated, and you'll know because you can't press it in anymore. And that's when we'll put the new
circlip.
Yeah, the new circlip in. Okay, we got the new circlip in. Now it's time to press the final part of this install. Is press this hub in.
Don't forget your shield.
We got to put the shield in first, and then we'll press in the inner hub. Put a little oil on the inside here, a little oil on the outside. But first things first, we'll put the hub in. I mean the shield in. We are just about ready to press in the inner hub inside the bearing. This is a key part of all this. So what we did is put a socket on the bottom, and what we did is we are pressing against the inner part of the bearing so that we don't run the risk
popping out like that one.
Popping out the inner part, so that this doesn't happen right here. And this is the setup right here. We're about to start pressing. Make sure that we're good to go. Okay, let's start pressing.
There it goes.
And it is. It's going in. That's it. We're there.
That's it.
The new bearing is installed. Here it is. Again, don't forget to put the shield in first before you put the inner hub, and we are ready to go. She looks beautiful. We are back at the car. The hub has the new bearing in it. What we'll do is we'll seat the bottom ball joint first. Then we'll insert the upper ball joint, link rod. I know it's some kind of link rod. Okay, but let's go ahead and put the hub back in with the dry shaft in. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some anti-seize compound on the inside of the splines. It's a copper-based anti-seize compound lubricating agent, so that when this comes out again, and it will come out again because we're going to be doing lower ball joint, upper ball joint, and then the link rod here. So stay tuned for that video to come soon. And we're going to be replacing. Oh, we're going to be replacing this park brake cable as well soon. Okay, let's go ahead and get this installed. Control arm, that's the word for it. The control arm is in. Golly, this really hurts my feelings, this boot. The thing is that they get old and the rubber gets brittle. As soon as you touch it, they crack open. But that's okay. Like I said, look for a video coming for it shortly. What we'll do is we'll replace the control arm. We'll replace upper and lower ball joints. And we'll replace this park brake cable as well. And I'm thinking, before I do the other side, perhaps sorry, I got my hand got in it. But maybe what you can do is through one of these holes, try to go inside where the park brake cable is, and see if you can move the plastic tabs, and at the same time pull the brake out from the back. See if that helps. I'm going to try that on the other side, and I'm going to let you know how that works out, guys. Okay, so upper ball joint is in, 19 millimeter. Lower ball joint is in, 21 millimeter, and control arm 22 millimeter. That's all nice and tight. We will now reassemble the park brake / emergency brake, put it all back together. And this is a good opportunity to tighten it up a little bit so that the park brake, you don't have to step as much to make it happen. So let's go ahead and put this back together. We'll put the rotor back in, then we'll put the caliper, and we'll move on to the other side. The park brake is in. This was a bear to install, and I figured that the best way to do this, now we still haven't set the park brake yet, so what you're gonna do, you're gonna install the bottom brake shoe first with the pin and the spring, and then you're gonna install the upper brake shoe with the pin and the spring. The bottom one is going to be harder because you're going to have to make it past the ball joint to install it. While you're installing these two brakes, you're going to install, this is your, let me see, that's your hook right there. That is your hook for that, the park, so that when you pull on when you step on a park brake, there's a hook in here and it creates a lever system that expands the brake shoes to set the park brake. So once you have the bottom first, then the top, while you're installing the hook in there, then you're going to install this spring here. You're going to hook it on the bottom first, through the back, and then you're going to hook it on top with the screwdriver. And then you should be able to pin that right in. Now, once that's done, you can install your this is right here is the means to adjust the park brake and then the spring. Once that's done, we can now install the rear disc brake. Once we install the disc brake, we'll adjust the park brake, and through one of these holes here, once the rotor is on, through one of these holes, you will be able to adjust the park brake, but with a screwdriver in like fashion. Let me show you. Let me get a screwdriver. There's never a screwdriver. Here it is. You're gonna go through the hole like this, and you're gonna adjust whether it go. Hold on. You're gonna either go up. You're gonna either go up or go down with the screwdriver to adjust the brake. All right, so I took the rotor off again because I installed the means to set the park brake, this cylinder here, this drum here, backwards. Actually, the teeth with the gear actually go upwards, so that when I go through the hole and lever, the park brake should expand to tighten up. Okay, let's give it a shot one more time. All right, guys, the setting of the park brake is done. We did so through the hole here. I don't know if you could see it. You will be able to see the register is in there. The little drum with the teeth, and you do that by here. Let me see if I can show you. By with the screwdriver, like that. It's pretty tight already, so this is too tight, so we're going to loosen it up a little bit. It's still too tight. You want it so that it just about starts breaking, but you want it to be free at the same time. All right, that looks good. Maybe we'll give it just a couple of teeth in the other direction. All right, guys, that looks good right there. Now we'll install the caliper and the harness back on the rotor, and then the right side is done. This definitely took a lot longer than I had anticipated. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe for this channel if you will. It'll help me help you, and it's a win-win for everybody. Give it a like if this video was of help to you. And what we're doing here on the right side, we're going to do on the left side as well. But let us finish the job. Now the park brake is set. We'll reinstall the caliper and the harness back on the hub. And by the way, the caliper bolts are 18 millimeter, not 21 like I said earlier. It's okay. All right, so let's put the caliper back on and we'll get this done. All right, let's recap what we did. Now you'll notice first thing is that these two harnesses, the little plastic clips that to hold this whole harness together to the brake cable actually broke at removal. So I just put zip ties here. You should be able to remove this park brake from inside of the rotor, which is actually the inner part of the rotor as a drum. If once you remove the park brake shoes, if you go in there with the screwdriver, you should be able to close the plastic clips, and while at the same time you pull the cable from behind, you should avoid breaking anything like I did. So learn from what my mistakes are here. This is a learning process for everyone here. So you have a 19 millimeter bolt on top here for the upper ball joint, at 21 on the bottom, 22 for the link rod here. 18 millimeter bolts for the caliper. 5 millimeter Allen to remove the rotor. This rotor, you're gonna have to bang it with a hammer right along here, and then you're gonna have to kind of yank it out, because the shoes of the park brake, emergency brake, are gonna kind of keep the rotor in place. So once you remove the caliper here, the 18 millimeter bolts, and you have a 10 millimeter bolt here for the bracket for the harness, and it's an E10, I believe this is an E10 socket. You're gonna need an E10 socket. Let me double check on that. Here it is right here. And yeah, you're gonna need an E10 socket to remove this bolt for the wheel speed sensor / ABS, 10 millimeter. So you move it, once you get the caliper out, you move everything out of the way, remove the rotor. Once you remove the rotor, you have to remove the park brakes assembly and pull the cable out of the back in order to remove the hub to press this bearing out and in. You guys saw the videos of what it takes to get this done. I hope, guys, this video was of help to you. It was a huge pleasure to make this video for you guys and help you guys out, because it also helps me out getting this stuff done, not only for me but for the wife as well. As always, give it a thumbs up if this video was of help to you. Like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and stay tuned for more repairs. Oh, and by the way, what you saw done on the right side, do on the left side as well. Soon you'll see the videos on this link rod here to be replaced, and the upper lower bushings in the back, and we'll do the same thing for the front as well. So wait for videos to come out in regards to the link rods for the steering, inner and outer, which should be next week. Next week we'll be getting this done. All right, guys. Everybody have a good evening, and I will see you next time on the next video. Take care.